My name is Mike McRoberts. I run the agency lending business for PGIM Real Estate Finance based in Arlington, Virginia, and handle all the conventional multifamily activities with the agencies. So in terms of policy, I don't think there are any showstoppers out there or real blockbusters, but there are a few things going on. So the HVCRE rules are changing for banks, which could open up their activity in the multifamily lending business. On the demographic side, we're clearly seeing two age cohorts still growing pretty significantly. The millennials are growing, and then of course the baby boomers that are now looking to move out of their current homes, single-family homes, and potentially into rental housing. So we're seeing that shift, creating households and creating demand. And it's good that that's happening because it's coinciding with a lot of deliveries that are happening out there. So it'll be interesting to see how that dynamic really manifests itself over the next year or two. On the economic side, clearly what's happening is interest rates are rising, certainly on the short term. We've seen that with 3 moves in 2017 by the Fed, and expected to see another 3 moves by the Federal Reserve in 2018. And that's going to have upward pressure. It's going to have pressure on sizing of loans with the agencies. It's also going to have some pressure on exit tests and proceeds for borrowers. So I see that impacting the market, and hopefully we don't see too big of an increase in the long-term interest rates that following the short-term interest rate increases. There have been disruptive moves by several companies to make things completely different in a variety of different industries. We certainly have not seen that in the multifamily financing world. Access to data is not as fluid as it could be if some of those pockets of information were opened up in a better way. And if you look at just processing of multifamily loans, we're still dealing with mounds and mounds of paper. And so there's a lot of opportunity for advancements there, efficiencies that could be gained. And I know a lot of the lenders out there are focusing on that and dedicating a lot of dollars to technological improvements, and we hope to see those over the next couple of years. Right, so the questions around who participates in this multifamily market, who's doing all this business. The MBA just came out at this conference and projected the market next year to be a little bit, in 2018, be a little bit less than 2017. And 2017 is about $280 billion of total multifamily debt that was done. Freddie and Fannie controlled 50% of that market, $140 billion combined. So clearly they were active participants and the most active participant. Banks pulled back a little bit in 2017, and the life insurance companies had a record year in 2017. However, going from $20 billion in multifamily financing to $22 billion in multifamily financing doesn't really move the needle that much. In 2018, what we're expecting to see is the banks to come back a little bit, maybe a little bit of regulatory relief coming their way. And then with CMBS, I'm already hearing at this conference from numerous people that CMBS pricing is coming into levels where it could be competitive with some of the other capital sources out there. So I think that's something to watch for in 2018. I think Fannie and Freddie are playing in those markets that they typically play in, where it's workforce housing primarily, and doing some of the higher-end stuff. And then the life companies have really segmented themselves into that really high-end Class A real estate in the major gateway markets. CMBS seems to be the wild card. We'll see how they participate, and if those pricing levels can get down into being a competitive mode with the rest of the participants. I think that the debt funds clearly are proliferating out there. We've seen numerous debt funds come to the market and playing in that value-add space, but they're also starting to look at some more permanent loans and doing some fixed rate. And I see them as I see the debt funds as something that's on the landscape that could really have an impact in 2018. What we've seen a lot of our clients do is to move into the debt space. So where they've been primarily equity buyers of real estate, they have created programs where they'll play a little bit higher in the capital stack looking for that yield, and a lot of people are moving into that space. So again, I mentioned compressing yields. You certainly see that on the mezz debt and the preferred equity side, but a lot of players getting into that market, again, chasing the yield. A lot of people have moved out of the Class A markets concerned about overbuilding on the multifamily side and have moved into the B space and are looking to do value add type of investments, and they've been doing that for a number of years, but that gap between the rents in the B space up to the A space is still pretty wide, and there's a lot of opportunity there. So we see people rotating away from the Class A space and more into the B market and looking for some yield and gaining some pretty good opportunities there.